Something else, since I'm reading from Caitanya Caritamrta. But I thought Radhamadava should come be here. I'd like this song very much because all of Vrindavan is there. But I want to hear you more. Come a little closer and chant a little louder. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Darpanamarjanam Bhavamadavanivivahanam Jaya Caritamrtam Vikantaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandamunivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamridasaganam Sarvatmasrapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So we'll be talking about this verse, Chitto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Maha Bhavagninirvapanam Jaya Kaila Chandrika Vitanam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Pudivardhanam Patipadam Purnam Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So Lord Chaitanya was in Puri, and he was always thinking about Radha and Krishna, of course, and spending much time with Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, and being immersed in different moods. And he expressed these moods in 8 verses. This is his official legacy, these 8 verses, the Shikshashtakam verses. These 8 verses, before I go on, am I going too fast for the translators? If there's translation going on, is the speed okay? If I go too fast or you miss something, don't hesitate. This is for everyone. So just put your hand up, make yourself seen, and I'll repeat. So These 8 verses are basically the summary of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So when I was asked to give a Bhagavatam class, I thought, well, the whole Bhagavatam is so beautiful. So many verses, 18,000. Shikshashtakam is 8 verses. I also can't speak on 8 verses in 1 or 2 classes, but I can speak on 1. So I chose to speak on this verse. This verse summarizes, in a way, the other 8, the other 7. In his Bhajan Rahasya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur associates the different verses of Shikshashtakam with different stages in our spiritual development, from Shraddha to Prema. So this Chetodarpana verse is joined with Shraddha, that initial faith that one develops. That initial faith is that before commitment, when we just think, well, I don't know why, but I like being with the devotees. Let me just go. I don't know if it's true or if it's not, but I like it. So let me go. That is initial faith. Everyone who's here has gone through that stage. And of course that stage doesn't stay there. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper. That is the stage of Chetodarpana Marjanam, but at the same time, Chetodarpana Marjanam is also so much more. So the translation goes, let there be all glory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste the full nectar at every step. So I'm borrowing commentaries from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our spiritual grandfather, who wrote commentaries on Shikshashtakam. Srila Prabhupada did not give much commentary on Caitanya Caritamrta. If we take this verse right from the beginning, the chanting of the holy name cleanses the mirror of the heart. I don't know about Malaysia, but I know in India, the sweepers are known as the lower class people. Do you have sweepers here? Yes. The holy name is so merciful that it assumes the form of a sweeper and enters our heart and gets rid of all the dust. This is the mercy of the holy name. Of course, we say this prayer every day, and we say it something like, let there be glory to Lord Shri Krishna Sankirtan, slightly different words in this. But when we really ask the Lord to help us understand the full meaning, and we can see, right there it says, the holy name becomes a sweeper to cleanse our heart. And stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. This means no more birth, no more samsara. This is what's given by the holy name. And we've only gone through one line. The chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. This example of using the white lotus of good fortune. The white lotus not only is strikingly beautiful, but it also blossoms in the night, just like a beautiful flower of the holy name blossoming in the darkest age of Kali. Good fortune for all living entities. All this is talking about the holy name. This is what the holy name is. Good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. Vidya Vadu Jivana. Vidya means knowledge. Vadu is Sanskrit for wife. So usually a new wife should be old wife also, right? A wife follows the husband. So just like a wife follows her husband, knowledge follows the holy name. Now what happens when knowledge follows the holy name? Ignorance is destroyed. When I first met the devotees in 1971, I was 16, I went to the temple, I was asking lots of questions. Now, in 1971, the senior devotees, like the temple president, let's say, I'd been a devotee 2 years. GBCs maybe 3 years. So the devotee who preached to me had been a devotee for 2 weeks. I was shaven up, saffron robe, complete, just made up his mind, and he'd been in the temple for 2 weeks. So I was asking so many questions. I'm sure most of them were very silly, but nevertheless, he couldn't answer everything. And he said, I don't know the answers to your questions, but I can tell you there's something special about this mantra. If you chant this mantra, all your answers will be revealed to you. Where did he get that from? Vidya Vadu Jivanam. It was only in the movement for 2 weeks. So many of us moving for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and we don't have full realization that Vidya Vadu Jivanam, the holy name, gives knowledge, just like a wife follows her husband. Now, when this knowledge comes and avidya is destroyed, something quite miraculous comes about. Maybe I'll read it to you because otherwise you may not believe me. Because it's very dramatic. So, maybe I'll read the whole paragraph because it's very, when I first read this, I thought, it's like light bulbs, and I don't want to, I'll read it this in front of Radha and Krishna. A pertinent query at this juncture would be, at what stage does a person who has attained the level of pure devotion acquire his pure spiritual identity, his swadharma? Any of you interested in acquiring your pure spiritual identity? I think everyone. So at what stage? Lord Caitanya, and then many times we hear, oh, it doesn't say, sometimes. But here it says. Lord Caitanya replies by saying, Vidya Vadu Jivanam, the life of all transcendental knowledge. The Supreme Lord's Shakti has two aspects, Vidya or knowledge, and Avidya or ignorance. Yogamaya, Shri Krishna Swarup Shakti, or internal spiritual potency, is called Vidya, whereas its external energy, Mahamaya, is Avidya. It is this latter that creates a material universe and covers the soul Swarup. When the first rays of pure devotion finally appear on the horizon of the sadhaka's hearts, by sincerely following the process of hearing and chanting, gradually Bhakti Devi, or the goddess of pure devotional process, the eradicator of all unwanted material desires, detrimental to the Lord's service, eclipses the avidya potency. So Bhakti Devi comes and gets rid of avidya. By suffering the soul, by suffusing the soul with spiritual knowledge, she destroys both the gross and subtle coverings of the soul. Simultaneously, and now listen, the jiva's original spiritual form becomes manifest to the extent that he receives the form of a gopi, for example. If his spiritual proclivity is steeped in the conjugal mood, thus it stands proven that Krishna's name is the life and soul of all transcendental knowledge. Vidya Badu Jivanam. So what does Jiva Badu Jivanam mean? That this knowledge will reveal the identity of the soul. Just Mahamantra. How can I say just Mahamantra? But we take Mahamantra so much for granted. This is by the process of Mahamantra. So we were Vijavadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Anandam Buddhivardhanam, an ever-increasing ocean of bliss. Now, the first time we came to the temple, we felt a little maybe bliss, or maybe the second time, or whenever that real first time was, we felt that bliss. And this is ever-increasing, ever-increasing. Spiritual happiness is completely pure. It cures the disease of material existence. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Let there be glory to this holy name. Let there be glory. It gives all these things. Krishna comes as a sweeper, cleanses the heart, gives you the knowledge, gives you bliss, eternal knowledge. Avidya is destroyed. Let there be glory to the holy name. So now the question becomes, yes, but I've been chanting for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Hasn't happened to me. Why is that? But Bhaktivinoda Thakur telling us why. It's because we don't chant properly. We have to call out to the Lord. There's different times where you can be shy and reserved, but that's not in chanting. I noticed this morning when I came in for Kirtan, Vasanta was trying to wake up everybody. Everybody was so proper. Hare Krishna. Chant with abandon. Chant with abandon. Like your life depends on it. Why? Because your life depends on it. Lives depend on it. Will you stay in a circle of birth, death, old age, disease, birth, death, old age, disease, birth, death, old age, disease? So do you want to jump out? But you have to do something to jump out. You have to jump. You have to give it all you have. You have to chant with your heart. You have to chant very deeply. So this full message is given in the first shloka of Shikshashtaka. Are there any questions so far? Yes. I don't know if we need a mic or if you can speak loud enough.
You mentioned that you take the holy name for granted. Can you give a little example?
Very easy. How much japa do you chant in a day? How much do you chant in a day?
39.
39. And what do you do the rest of the day?
Different things.
Different things. Krishna is his name. Why you don't stay with him? Why you don't stay with him? because we don't have it really fully realized that Krishna is his name. One time devotees asked, Srila Prabhupada heard a devotee giving a class, and he was saying, please sit down, I don't want to keep you standing, I know what it feels like. A devotee was giving a class and he was saying, Krishna is in his name, is in his name. So Srila Prabhupada interrupted him and he said, oh, where in his name? Because actually Krishna is not in his name, Krishna is his name. Krishna is his name. But if we're chanting 4 rounds of mataji, is chanting more, but if we're chanting 4 rounds a day, then how much of this realization do we have that Krishna is his name? Or sometimes we will chant and we will chant with disdain. Good, it's done. What now? Right? I've done it. Now this is Krishna. This is our relationship with Krishna. If you ask practically any sadhus in our sampradaya, I have personal example, devotees asking, oh, please bless me to chant more. Bless me to chant 64 rounds, or bless me to chant more. And quite often, the answer will be, or maybe bless me to chant 39 rounds. Quite often, the answer will be, why 39? You should chant 24 hours a day. This is our mandate. Srila Prabhupada told us 16 minimum. And especially in youth, you have so much energy. You want to do so many things. You want to do this and you want to do that. But try to keep the Lord with you. Keep Him in your tongue. Keep Him on your mind as much as you can. Prabhupada said 16 rounds on the beats and hundreds of rounds off the beats. So really, the more we understand, the more we accept that Krishna is His name, the more we will want to always have Him with us. And the more we do it, the more we want to do it. And the more we want to do it, the more we do it. And it just goes on and on, closer and closer to Krishna, closer and closer to knowing how to serve Him eternally. Any other questions so far? Okay, then we'll move to the second verse from Shikshashtakam. Nam Nam Makari Bahudani Sarva Shakti Tadjadvitanya Hitasmarane Nakalaha Edadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Shanya Jamina Nuragaha. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity. Therefore you have many names, such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen, conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy name, I'm so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. We'll take it from the beginning. You have many names such as Krishna and Govinda. In this shloka, Lord Chaitanya doesn't say Ishvara, Kartamasha. He doesn't say doing names. He says Leela names. There's different categories of names. There's the Leela names, and then there's also the grander Leelas, like Nishinga, Parashuram, avatar names. And then there's further away still names where Krishna is the controller, he's the maintainer, like that. So here it talks about names like Krishna and Govinda. Those are the names that we're referring to, and those are the names in the Maha Mantra. And those are the names in chants like Arihata Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Those are also Leela names. Leela names are the ones that give us this Krishna praying. Not Ashwarya praying. This other praying. Raj praying. You have invested all your potencies in those names. And there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. That means you don't need to sit down in the lotus. You don't need to. You can chant in your car. You can chant on a horse, on a donkey, walking, sitting, in this room, in that room, in whichever room. You don't need to be wearing a sari. You don't need to have taken bath. You don't need to be wearing anything, really. You don't need to have beads. You can chant without beads also. Of course, that was something that, counting our japa is something that was very important to Caitanya Mahaprabhu. When he went traveling to South India, he said, this time I'm going alone, you all stay. I'm going, and you stay here. And they were trying to think of different ways. Oh, what if maybe one person can come and help you, or maybe someone should come along. And they were trying different ways, but it was only when the devotee said, but if you're carrying your kamandalu in your cloth, how will you counter chanting? He didn't have beads, he had a knotted cloth. And he says, okay, then someone can come with me. Why counting? I could ask almost any one of you how many, except you. You may not know. But if I asked you how many blue saris, you would know obviously, how many blue saris you have, or how many silk ones you have. Probably you know. Like all of you thinking a little bit in your head when I say how many red saris you have, you're thinking, yeah, I have, and 2 are silk and 1 is cotton, or 20 are silk, and 5 are cotton, whatever, you know. Why? Because you care. If you ask a man what's his bank balance, or what are his assets, or what is his net worth, he knows. He knows his net worth. He doesn't know, oh, I have 1 or 3 or 5 houses, I can't remember. No, he knows. If he's invested in real estate, he has 5 houses. He knows it's 5. It's not 4 or 6, it's 5. He knows. So the things that we care about, we count. So therefore we count our japa. It doesn't mean that when we stop counting, we can't count because we're cooking. We still chant. We still chant, and it transforms this activity of cooking into something devotional that we're doing for Krishna. So there are no hard and fast rules in chanting this name. Although you bestow your mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy name, I'm so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name. We all know these offenses. We say them in the morning. Those who were not here this morning, you were somewhere else. Maybe you also recited them. And then, there goes the answer to our problem. Therefore, I do not achieve attachment for chanting. How many of you have attachment for chanting? You don't need to raise your hand. It's probably not going to be enough. Most people say, I have no taste, I have no taste, so just do it. I have no taste, I have no taste. I hear it everywhere I go, I have no taste, so just do it. Why is no taste? Because we commit offenses. How do we get taste? We stop committing offenses. Simple. We just stop committing offenses. First offense, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives. Sadhu Linda. That's so easy. And the reason why it's so easy is because of our natural mentality of criticizing everything, everywhere, everything we see, everywhere we go. Why wasn't the floor swept? Why is this color? Why is that this color? Why did they make it round? They should have made it square. Why did they make it square? They should have made it round. Why did they cook it so long? They could have cooked it a bit less. Why did they put so much salt? Why did they put so less salt? This is our nature. In everything we see, in everything we do, we will put in our 2 cents, our criticizing. And that's not Vaishnava Param, but it's a habit. A habit that we have in everything we say. We will put our 2 cents. Some criticism will be there. And then when we come to being with devotees, we think that we'll stop. No, this is our second nature. We're always criticizing. Why did you like this? Why did you like that? Why this? Why that? Why this dark pink should be light pink? Why? Why? Everywhere we say, so then, and then that same criticizing mentality follows. Except that now it's aparad. It wasn't aparad when you just said, why they make it round instead of square. That was just a remark that you thought maybe square would have been better. You get 4 more pieces. But when we keep this mentality of criticizing, then it follows us into our daily activity, our daily association with devotees. Does everybody understand what I'm trying to say? I feel I'm not using the right words. Or is someone grabbing it? You understand what I'm saying? It's our criticizing mentality that follows us. So what are we going to do about it? We have to train ourselves. And nowadays you get in the Western world, especially so many people talking about positive thinking, la-di-da-di-da, dreamy thing. But for us, this seeing good in others becomes an exercise towards never committing Vaishnava Param. If we see the good, if we don't criticize, then we can train our mind to also see the good amongst Vaishnavas. I was speaking about this topic once in Delhi, in Chippiwara, which is old Delhi, very dirty, very old. There's a museum being built there. Srila Prabhupada used to have his Delhi office. So I was leaving Srila Prabhupada's temple in Chippiwara, and devotees were, the road is not even a road, it's maybe wide enough for a rickshaw, maybe. It's very narrow road that you go to get there. So I get to the road and the car is supposed to be picking me up, but the car can't stop anywhere because there's a whole row of taxis. So I just finished speaking about criticizing, and then what comes to mind? These stupid taxis, all parked here, can't even walk in between them. And it didn't even come out, like it just was trying to come in my head. And I said, oh no, you're not going to get me with that one. We're finished with this. We're finished with criticizing for no reason. So then, okay, you have a task. My dear mind, you have a task. You wanted to criticize, now you find something good. Change. Find the good. So convenient. In this Chippiwara, 9:30 at night, you can get a taxi like this. It's just a change of mentality, right? So we can train our mind. Mind doesn't like to get jobs. So when you find yourself criticizing something, not talking about deep spiritual things, you criticize something, you just, this is a bad mentality. It doesn't bring me happiness, it doesn't change anything, and it's a habit that I carry on when I'm dealing with devotees, when I'm dealing with Vaishnavas. I should really try to see the good, and then you say, okay, my dear mind, now you have a task, you have to find something good. And after a while, the mind doesn't like it, so it stops seeing the bad, because otherwise it's going to have a job to do, and it's not so nice. It doesn't like it. So we have this tendency to criticize others. And we have to give it up. So then, whenever I talk about this, people will say, but what if it's true? I can tell you it was true that all the taxis were blocking the road. They were tailed bumper to bumper. It was true. What if it's true? Then can we criticize? No. And there's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not only for reading, but it's actually to teach us lessons. There's a nice story in Srimad Bhagavatam about a Vaishnava who was illusioned temporarily. I'm talking about not any average Vaishnava, I'm talking about the head of our Sampradaya, Brahmaji. He had lustful intention towards his daughter. And he was running after her throughout the universe with lustful intentions. Now, if any of the brahmacharis at the temple ran after your daughters, or ran after you, those who are younger, what would your mother say? What would your father say? What would everyone say? They would say something. I can't believe you. You can believe me. They would say something. Now it was true. Lord Brahma was running after his daughter with lustful intentions. And the sons of Marichi saw. And they didn't even start a whole gossip line. All they did was laugh. They laughed at him. And as a result, they had to take several more births, including taking birth in the prison where Devaki gave birth to the first 6 sons of Devaki, who were smashed at birth. Those were the Marichis. That was the punishment for having criticized Lord Brahma. So even if it's true, it's not your business to criticize. Even if it's true. What if you're a manager? What if you're a manager? Then you have to just let things go? No. How many are managers in here? Women manage other things, some things. Maybe at work you're a manager, or somewhere you're a manager. Any managers here of anything? Yes. Pity on you. For you. To be a manager means usually that you've been trained and that you are qualified to tell others when something is wrong. If a man jumps off from the side of the street into the middle of the road and goes like this to try to stop the car, what will you do? You just swerve around him. You won't stop. But if a man in a police uniform and a light in his hand goes like this and tells you to pull over, what do? You stop. Because he's authorized, he's trained, he's qualified. So a manager is authorized, he's trained, he's qualified. And the training of a manager to chastise others is that it should be in the interest of the person being chastised. Fully. Not half and half. Fully in the interest of the person who is being chastised. It's a gift that you give someone. So that is not criticizing, that's giving a gift to someone. It may appear like a criticism, a chastising, but actually it's a gift. What if someone offends you? Could that happen? Then what do you do? Then you say he's an aparadi. No? There's an example of that also. Are you familiar with Tukaram? He's not in our Sampradaya, but he's a great saint. Saint Tukaram was always absorbed in chanting the names of the Lord, the glories of the Lord. He wasn't appreciated very much by his neighbor, who was a Smarta Brahmin who conducted classes on the Vedas. especially because after a while people who normally had been coming to hear the Vedas from him, or some logic, or some serious classes, and they would walk by his house and go to Tukaram's house because they wanted to hear his bhajan. They wanted to chant bhajan with him. They wanted his association. So he became very angry. So one day he thought, I have had enough. And he found a stick, a big one, a big stick, and it had thorns on it. And when Tukaram was walking home in the night, he ambushed him and he beat him with that stick. And he beat him again and he beat him again, and Tukaram was left in a pool of blood on the road. Now, I would say that's the Vaishnava Aparad. Wouldn't you? But Tukaram didn't think like that. When he managed to regain consciousness, he called home. And the only thing that he was thinking the whole night is, how have I offended this Brahman so badly that he felt the need to beat me? How have I offended him? So this is the Vaishnava behavior when there is an offense committed to a Vaishnava. What have I done to deserve this? Not he offended me, but how have I offended him or her? So this is a mentality to develop. As a result, when he went back the next morning, he went to see his neighbor and he told him, please forgive me. Please forgive me. I must have done something terrible. I'm not exactly aware what, but please forgive me. He was able to completely change the heart of his neighbor. So in the next couple days, I'm sure we will touch again on the offenses because it has a lot to do with chanting. And no matter what title they give to a seminar or a retreat, I always end up talking about chanting. So beware. It doesn't matter what title you put on, it'll be something about chanting. So we will talk a little bit more about it. It's 9 o'clock. We have to stay on schedule. I can take 1 or 2 questions, but after that we will go for breakfast.
Is there any questions? We can pass the mic. Please raise your hand. Any questions?
You can ask in whatever language you want, they will give it to me in English.
Yeah. Any questions? This is your chance to ask a question.
Don't be shy, otherwise I'll be leaving on the 18th. I'll be going to Kuala Lumpur and all the matajis will be running, what mataji, mataji?
Mataji, the criticism that Mataji is referring, is it and the offenses to be committed against this holy name, is it relates to devotees only, or is it inclusive of other people that will affect our chanting?
I don't know about you, but I really don't know who's a devotee and who's not. Sometimes someone, if you had met me, well, I guess it's a little while ago for me, if you had met me in 1970 or 1969, you would have thought, what a useless rascal, right? And now I'm kind of becoming a devotee, you know. You don't know. So best is to not criticize, because also not to criticize others, because you don't know the time frame in which that person could become a much greater devotee than you ever imagined. So don't criticize others. And then the other thing is, even if they're rascals and they are not devotees and they will not be devotees, there's different ways, other things you can look at. First, also there's this habit of criticizing. And then the other thing is, even the butcher down the road, he is Krishna's son. And Krishna loves him very much. Now, people have pets that they love very much. Did they have pets in Malaysia also? Not as much, but some do. Now if you walk over and you kick someone's dog, or you say what an ugly beast, well you have this, ridiculous. If you criticize their pet, what will they say? They'll be upset with you. Okay. If someone comes to the temple and they have a new baby or a child, oh, your child is so ugly. Aren't you ashamed walking around with that child? What will happen with your relationship with that person? Or if you say your child is nonsense and never amount to anything, what will happen to them with your relationship with the parent? So if you're talking about that butcher and you're saying, he's useless, nothing will ever amount of him, what's his father, Krishna, going to say? Right? So don't talk bad about anyone. The rule is sadhu ninda, to criticize sadhus. But how's it working for you? I mean, do you have real taste for chanting the holy name? Like, we have to analyze ourselves. We say, oh, these 10 offenses, no, I don't do any of them. Well, do you have taste? How's your Krishna praying? If Krishna prema is not manifesting, if you don't feel Krishna dancing on your tongue, something's wrong. It's not that the process is not working, it's that you're not working the process. So you just tighten up. So in a way of with criticizing others, be careful. They're all Krishna's children. Thank you so much for asking this question.
Any other questions?
This isn't about chanting, but it's one of the 10 offenses.
Yes.
One of it says that it's an offense to preach to people who don't want to listen, but then you also sort of have to preach if you want to do preaching. So
we'll address this question during the retreat. I won't speak about it now because we're going a little over time, and I do speak again on different topics that will touch that. If I somehow forget, remind me, because it's another one. It will take a little time.
Any other questions? Going one time, going two times, and going three times. So we're going to call it out. Okay, so there's a small announcement before you're going to take your prashad, Matajis. So we're going to open the registration counter today. So those who haven't registered yet or haven't paid your registration fees, haven't collected your goodie bags, please do so. We'll be right behind. And then the prashadam, 8:45, please be here before 8:45. 8:45 the class is going to start.
9:45.
sorry, 9:45. So yeah, now it's 9:05. So okay. So then we be here by 9:40, if possible. Okay. And then for the Guru Matajis who are having children, we're having Gurukula starting at 9:45. Yeah. There'll be station games for them. So please send them at the BCC hall, the hall right below there. They'll be there. The Matajis are going to take care of them. They'll be there already. So that's all. Oh yes, another thing. The Vaishnavi retreat, we are actually organizing such a way that Vaishnavis serving Vaishnavis. So now this prasadam we are serving, Todu will be serving. So later, during lunchtime, we want one yatra Matajis. All of you will be serving the rest of the Matajis. So serving means you serve, and after you serve, you go to each of them and say, Harishna Mataji, how's the prasad? Get the feedback and tell us. Can we do that?
Yep.
Okay, so lunchtime, who wants to serve for lunchtime? Which yatra? Okay, Jagannath Monday. Jagannath Monday is taking lunchtime. Okay, thank you very much. So breakfast will be Todu now. Okay, thank you very much. Hari Bol.